Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome to the hardest task Arsenal have to do this campaign so far: how to beat Newcastle. We're going to be diving into how they set up. We're going to be diving into how Eddie Howe really plays with this Newcastle side. How much have they strengthened their weaknesses, their limitations, and maybe how we can get the better of them and beat them. In this video, I'm also going to be dropping my prediction because I'm going to be dropping the predicted lineup a little bit later on. So I'm going to be dropping my prediction in this video. And don't worry, it is not an Arsenal draw. It could be the other result. Hit the like button. Let's get this video to 500 likes. Subscribe to the podcast as well. We're very close to 63,000 subscribers. So make sure you're hitting the like button, the notification bell, the subscribe button, and of course, the subscribe button. Of course, I want to thank all the people in Guafa. They have invited me to their WhatsApp group, and they love me so much, and I'm really, really grateful for the love. If you have any WhatsApp groups there and you're Arsenal fans, you can invite me. I'm open to the discussions about the club. Just love Arsenal. Just love Arsenal fans as well. So let's get into it. How do Newcastle set up? They set up in that 4-3-3 formation. That's how Eddie Howe has actually decided that's how they set up. Nico Pop in goal. I was about to say Nico Pop. Pop in goal. Trippier, Shaw, Botman, and Dunban. That is the back four they used in the last game against Leeds United. I think Dunban, deputizing Matt Target, was actually injured. Sean Longstaff, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joe Willock, the ex-Arsenal man, in midfield. And up top, without Alan Saint-Maxima, Jolinton, Chris Wood, who will be, for me, replaced by, Callum Wilson, and then Miguel Almiron. You could argue that this season, Miguel Almiron has been the best player in the Premier League, apart from Erling Haaland. He could be the best player in the Premier League, apart from Erling Haaland. It could be Miguel Almiron, but that is there for debate because Arsenal have also done very well and they have so many very, very good players. So in terms of how they line up, that is how we expect them to line up. I don't think Eddie is going to make very many changes from that game that they played against Leeds United. They didn't score, but had a very, very good possession. I think up to 59% ball possession. And then, which is very interesting actually, they had 16 shots on goal and 5 on target. I mean, maybe it was about the conversion rate, the accuracy with which they were converting, but they did create the chances, they did have the shots, and they did put them on target, but they just didn't score against Melia. And it's a fixture where I didn't expect them to fail to score. It's a fixture where I thought they would score 3 by halftime because they've been that good. But maybe the question, are they starting to fall apart? So how do they play? How does how does Eddie Howe set up with them? And exactly who are his key men? If we talk about the key players, number one is always Bruno Guimaraes at this Newcastle side. He's absolutely brilliant. He's playing as a DM now because they do not have John Shelby, who's actually out injured. Now it means Bruno Guimaraes is playing in that deeper position, and it will work for Arsenal. It will definitely work for Arsenal because when you think about Bruno Guimaraes and you think about Granit Xhaka, they are very, very, very similar players. I think Bruno Guimaraes' ability on the ball as a player, because he's Brazilian as well, is massively better than Xhaka's ability on the ball, especially if you put them in that box-to-box role. But he's not going to play in a box-to-box. If you look at this game against Leeds United, he played in that deep anchorman role, and you look at the only 2 yellow cards they conceded or they picked up, it was Bruno Guimaraes and Kieran Trippier. So he's going to be playing deep in midfield. That is something that we really, really help Arsenal in this game. But he's a key player for them in terms of ball distribution, in terms of creating chances, in terms of being an engine for the midfield, and even just being brilliant. I mean, if you think about Newcastle, you think about Bruno Guimaraes. Am I wrong? Okay, maybe Nick Pop is another player that I think about, but I really think about Trippier and Bruno Guimaraes. They're kind of the best performers at this side. And ever since Bruno Guimaraes signing for them in January 2022, he's been a revelation of a player. He's been a revelation of his signing. I think they just need to surround him with better players. They just need to surround him with more players, and then they will have the final product of that project. The other key player I thought about in this game is, of course, Kieran Trippier, another magnificent player, another magnificent January signing for Eddie Howe. And to be honest, with Kieran Trippier, he's a massive threat to Arsenal. One, because he's a very, very good set piece taker. We know that, and that's why one of the reasons why Southgate actually always uses him. Is a free kick taker, set piece taker, corner. His corners are very, very good, and because they use wide areas very much, and also they always open up the wider areas of the game. His quality deliveries are something to think about, especially if Eddie Howe decides to go with Chris Wood up top rather than Callum Wilson. But look, and still, whichever way or whichever forward they go with, the deliveries from Kieran Trippier are absolutely very, very magnificent. Now, number 3 is Miguel Almiron, the player that I've just said. He could be the best player in the Premier League right now, apart from Erling Haaland. Let me know. Let's have the conversation in the box. Is Miguel Almiron, has he been better than Saka and Gabriel Martinelli? Has he just been better than Saka and Gabriel Martinelli? Because with Almiron, you're thinking about a player who's just turned his career around without any changes in the atmosphere, without any changes from the club. It's the same club, same player, different levels. So if you're thinking about number of goals that he has actually scored, I think Jack Grealish will be shitting himself for saying all those kind of cap words against Almiron. This campaign, and why I'm afraid of him is he's scoring all kinds of goals. He's heading the balls into the back of the net. He's scoring with his left foot, right foot. He's dribbling. He is running onto counterattacks. He's tapping in. He is bending bananas into top bins. That is Miguel Almiron. And I think I said Ramsdale needs to be active in such games. This is the game, right? He's going to be tested lots and lots of the time. And if we make a mistake, Almiron will definitely punish us. The other player is Joe Linton. He does play as part of the midfield and also part of the midfield as part of the front three. I think without Alan Saint-Maximin, Joe Linton has been the player that has been deputizing in that position very, very well. One of the key players for them to stay in the leagueless campaign. He turned his career around. He turned his season around, and he's one of the players that I think, you think about Xhaka and how he's turned his career around and how he's become a better player. What about Joe Linton? What about this guy has just become levels up, but he's just leveled up from nowhere, right? So I'm gonna go Joe Linton as the fourth player, as a key man, and then Joe Willock. Willock played for Arsenal, of course, and I think Eddie Howe trusts him. I don't know. Do we call him Eddie Howe? Or Eddie Howe? Howe is yeah. But Willock is one of those box-to-box players, and in this game he will be playing as a box-to-box because Bruno Guimaraes then will be taking on that deeper DM role. So you're thinking about Joe Willock in a way of in such a way that he's a player whose ability on the ball is of course undisputed, drives the ball in midfield, can dictate the tempo of the game, but then also loves to have a goal. So Arsenal need to be very, very careful there. As a team, they do love to possess the ball all the time, and that is their style. They will use and they will utilize wider areas in their fullbacks. That includes Trippier and Matt Target, who's not actually going to be in this game. But then the likes of Joe Linton have always used and exploited that space that is left by fullbacks on the left and right hand side. So Alexander Zinchenko and Ben White have to be very alert in this game. You expect Almiron to be running all the time. You expect Joe Linton to be running all the time, and Trippier to be running all the time, bringing in those quality deliveries and trying to overload either flank. So that is another key, another key facet in how they play. I looked at their quick passes and very, very fast movements, those quick combinations between Willock, Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and Sean Longstaff. You need to stop them. You can't allow them play those quick passes, those tight, quick combinations. You definitely can't. They will definitely hurt you. And then lastly, on how they approach their games, it's the counter-attack. It is something that people have actually not realized. Newcastle are one of the most deadly clubs on the break in the Premier League right now. They're so deadly. And what actually makes them deadly is their ability to soak in the pressure and then just allow opponents to be fooled that that the opponent is in full control of the game, and then they'll break. And they have fast runners. They are players that are happy to take up those wide positions the moment their press actually picks up the ball. They are players that are happy to dribble. They are players that are happy to run, and the players that are happy to finish on the break. So if you can stop their counterattacks, if you can stop them from doing all that kind of work in wider areas, and then break their possession. They're also very happy to be on the ball. Guimaraes has the ability to keep the ball. Joelinton has the ability to keep the ball. Willock has the ability to keep the ball. And of course, Sean Longstaff as well. So if you can do that, that is one of the ways you can actually stop them. Now, if you look at the key strength of this side, of this Newcastle side, this campaign, they really score a lot of goals. They have scored 32 goals in 17 games. That means they're averaging a goal per 90. And to be honest, Arsenal have only scored 40 goals this campaign. So we've scored 8 goals, more than them. Yes, in fewer games, because for us we played 16. But for a club like Newcastle, who no one thought they'll be in the top 4 conversation this season, who no one thought they'll go like 10 games unbeaten, 10, 11 games unbeaten, this is scary. They score a lot of goals, and of course, those goals have been coming in from the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton. The other advantage and the other strength that they have, which actually makes them a very hard team to beat this campaign, is they concede very little. Having scored 32 in 17, they've only conceded 11 in 17. That means that they only concede 1 goal, at least 1 goal per 2 games. So Arsenal do not have a problem in scoring goals. I've not seen that this campaign. Even with Gabriel Jesus out, with the last 2 games we played, we've scored a total of 7 goals. That means Arsenal can't score against any defense, but Newcastle, defensively, they're actually doing very well. And one of the reasons why they're doing very well is this guy here, Steven Botman. How did they sign Steven Botman? How did they get a quality player like that? Fabian Schär has also been very good for them. Dan Burn as well, ever since signing from was it Brighton. Dan Burn has been a very key player, and Nick Pope in goal as well. Their defense is quite very solid. It's also supported by their midfield, which consists of the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, who are quite very good players without the ball. In terms of strength, still, I think that their form is one of the reasons why they will be very confident. So they're in form. They have lost no game in the last 12 games. They will be looking to continue that run. They do have the quality in players like Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Willock, Joelinton, Callum Wilson, and Miguel Almiron. So Arsenal should not actually look down on them. And some of the biggest achievements and some of the biggest strength of this side is the ability to keep the ball. In most of the games they've played recently, they've had above 55% ball possession. So they're happy to keep the ball. They're happy to orchestrate the move. They're happy to begin the moves. And I think that's where Arsenal have to think about. And then overloading wide areas, and of course those quality wide attackers in Trippier, Target, Almiron, Maximin, and Joelinton. So those are some of the strengths that I've looked at with this Newcastle side. The weaknesses on the other side, I think, is going to be the injuries. And first and foremost is that injury to Matt Target. Now, I think Eddie Howe as manager has loved the idea of playing with very wide, fullbacks that go up front, create a lot of chances, and create overloads in the opponent's final third. Matt Target has been a key player to how they play. They will not have him in this game. Dan Burn actually did deputize down that side. If you can see on your screen, Dan Burn is a typical centre back. The fact that Dan Burn played there could be one of the reasons why they didn't even score a goal against Leeds United. And of course, the other reason for us to believe that they are weak, or one of the other weaknesses, is the fact that they do have that creme de la creme starting 11, but they don't have the depth. They don't have the quality, the deeper quality. If you lose a player like Matt Targett, if you lose a player like Trippier, if you lose a player like Steven Botman or Nick Pope, you can't actually replace them adequately. That is the problem for them. But then also they don't have a defensive midfielder, so that means Bruno Guimaraes is going to be limited in his abilities, and Isak being out means Chris Wood is going to be playing there. He's easy to cut out of the game if Mikel Arteta actually reads it right. Number 7 is the is how to beat them, and I think in this one, there are two perspectives. It's either how do we get our revenge, or how do we keep our unbeaten run moving. Number 1 is you have to limit the mistakes. Against Brighton, I felt like 2 mistakes, 2 goals. We need to limit those mistakes. They're going to put us under a lot of pressure, but we need to be very, very strong. And I also thought the other way to beat them in this game is scoring very, very fast so that we can actually wash the pressure away off our shoulders. I also thought about starting strongly from start to the end. I think it's one of those games where you can't switch off. You've got to start very strongly, surprise them, but keep up the momentum, keep up the levels of performance until the end. And then you've got to target the left back positions and the wider positions, especially at right back and left back. So Target is not around. Saka must do whatever he can to get the better of Dan Burn, and Gabriel Martinelli to utilize those spaces in behind, where Kieran Trippier, who we know is adventurous and loves to travel a lot, will be leaving behind. My prediction in this game is Arsenal 2, Newcastle 1. We will edge it. It will be a difficult contest. We will edge it slightly. Slightly.